Anything you don't want us to bring up?
Um,
Or you don't
No.
want to talk about?
I don't know. Is there something that
Not
you
like I don't.
Is
I
there
don't know a
something
lot.
spicy that you might bring up that I should be warned about?
I don't know much, so.
Okay. No. Go for it.
Everyone has a unique gift, and Mike and Diana, host of the
Are you,
1Life podcast, believe that most people don't know how
What
to
time
use
is
their
this? 1
gifts
o'clock. Are
or
you talking
who they
about
are.
the
Mike and
function
Diana
tonight?
want you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself.
Huh?
The 1Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion,
Oh,
music,
yes.
and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy, love, and compassion to all
guess what's
communities
happening
and
tomorrow?
creates
He's just
an
like,
equal playing field for all. On the 1Life podcast, they cover topics like building relationships, overcoming adversity, habits of healthy people, and much, much more. We only have one life to live. Be yourself.
Can you say
and
something?
Live your truth.
Hello,
Add the
hello.
1Life podcast
Little
to
low.
your playlist.
Why-
It's the
why do you have it
number
low,
one
like,
NE
pointed
Life,
down?
Available on Spotify.
I thought you did that because
Amazon
you wanted to
Music,
show your
Apple
face,
Podcasts,
but
and your favorite podcast platform.
it's okay. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the 1Life podcast. I am Mike, M-I-C Reed, and as always, I got my lovely co-host, Miss Diana from Socialholic, and we are in here with Darlene
Where's the camera?
Trevino Law. How you doing today?
I am doing fabulous.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to get into it because we're going to ask a bunch of questions and we're going to get into your background and your why and your story because I don't know much about you. I mean, I met you a few times and
Yeah.
just know a little bit, but we're going to get all into it.
Okay. Bring
But
it.
before that, let's check in with Diana with the Socialholic Experience. What's going on in the AV?
There's always a bunch. You know that we have so much to talk about. I'm trying so hard to decide who do I talk about this time because there's so much going on with Halloween coming up. Everybody's having a Halloween party, and I
Everyone.
can't go to all of them. So, but I'm trying to promote here. So, as you know, Raina was here last week with us. She is doing her Halloween Latin Nights next Friday, October 28th from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's right until midnight. $10 for the entry. There's going to be dance performances, costume contests, a DJ, tacos, all kinds of fun stuff happening. So that is next Friday from 9 p.m. to midnight. And then I also wanted to bring up the Antelope Valley Chamber of Commerce is having their Business for Breakfast October 27th from 7 a.m. until 8:30 at the AM Cafe on 10th Street West in Lancaster. They're asking you to please be sure to bring your business cards so that you can network. Again, that is Business for Breakfast with the Antelope Valley Chambers of Commerce on October 27th. Be sure to RSVP though. That way they make sure they have food for everybody. Vincent Hill Station, which I'm not sure if anybody knows about Vincent Hill.
I'm not familiar with.
It's kind of going off of Pure Blossom right there off of like Sierra Highway. It's a nice restaurant. They have amazing food. They also offer an event space. More outdoors, but they are doing a Halloween costume contest party on October 29th, which is Saturday. No, Saturday has a lot of things going on, but I did want to show them some love. So it is Saturday, October 29th from 8 p.m. until 11:30. They have live music, and they usually have like live music every weekend. A lot of rock bands, jazz. They have some oldies, an Art Laboe vibe.
Fun.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's super cool, and like I said, they do rent out their space for events. So if you're planning an event, holiday party, and you've been having a hard time finding a spot, I think they can accommodate up to like 75 people, but don't quote me on that. So, and last but not least, I wanted to give a shout out for the Action for Kids event. It's called Tea Time Talk with Friends and Purpose. It's a free event on Friday, November 18th at 10 a.m. at the Chimboli Cultural Center in Palmdale. And it's all just kind of really to focus on how to help your kids kind of maneuver through life, right? And it's talking about understanding child misbehavior, family healing, and well-being. There will be supervised childcare. There's, I guess, raffles and things like that. The city of Palmdale is putting this on with a bunch of other nonprofits. So it's called Action for Kids, Tea Time with Talk with Friends and Purpose. So that's what I want.
Okay, so I've been trying to look for this flyer. What's going on tomorrow at the hangar? What's the name of the event? And
At the Hangar, and that is the city of
Hunt at the Hangar.
Lancaster's, Halloween event. Usually they did the Boulevard, I guess a couple years ago,
okay.
pre-COVID. Then they just moved it to the Lancaster Municipal Stadium, and it's called Hunt in the Hangar. Our very good friend DJ Craig will be there putting on some Texas from the heat. And I know they have all kinds of fun stuff. I don't know if they have the maze this year, but they typically have all kinds of things for the kids to do.
But whose event is it? It's this. Oh, it's Lancaster's, the city. Oh, okay. That's why I couldn't find it. Because I know Raina was telling me yesterday to go because they're performing between 5 and 6 or something.
Their flash mob.
Yeah.
Cute. Oh,
I
fun.
know.
So yeah, I gotta go check it out. And I was looking for the flyer and I couldn't find it. Hilarious.
DJ Craig just posted it, so
Oh, he did?
you might be able to find it on his page
Okay.
or the city page.
Cool. Oh, and I met
I feel like I'm wearing a Western hat.
I met shoot, what's her name? Oh God, I just messed up her name. Ruby, the one that we gave a shout out to
all
last week
friends?
from at the
Ruby from Mr. Or it's
for the yoga. Yeah, I went by her shop yesterday and bought some beads and some crystals. So I mean, you guys are right. She's super cool, super high in energy. Like when she saw me, she was like, "Oh my God!" Like she was shocked I was in her store.
When you need like a pickup, just go talk to Ruby.
Yeah,
She'll
she's
make you
super
feel
cool.
like you are a celebrity, and you know what I mean. Like, oh my God, I can't believe her. She's so amazing.
I love that.
Good
I love
energy.
that.
No, definitely she is. I
She's
loved
so
it.
knowledgeable in like energy and crystals and
Mm-hmm.
like, all that stuff that I'm like not.
Card reading, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always think like, oh, it's just so pretty. And she's like, oh, well, you need this because this is what's gonna, help the positive. And I'm like, so I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, today's episode is brought to you by Eventually Events, where they create magical moments and take care of every single detail so you can enjoy that special time in your life. To book your appointment, hit up by Diana on IG at Eventually Events.
Could sleep last
I did.
night.
I don't know why.
Walking this morning, you were all
You know what? I got some new coffee,
That's what it is.
and it's called It's called Death Coffee, the world's strongest coffee. Got it from Amazon. Yeah.
Is your
Crazy.
heart beating like 100
I don't
miles
know.
per minute?
I do feel a little different. So I don't know what's going on. So
Let's see the hands. Are they shaking? No.
Oh,
Okay.
you're good.
I did not
Just
actually.
like this, then you know you have an issue.
All right, so we about to jump into it. We about to get into this story, this backstory with Miss Darlene.
All right.
How's your day so far?
Good. One of my staff, it was her birthday, so we decorated the office last night, took her out to lunch. So, yeah.
What's her name?
Ruby.
Happy birthday, Ruby.
Yes. Happy birthday, Ruby.
Yes, absolutely.
All your girls are cool.
They are. They're incredible.
It was fun to work with for your birthday.
I know. Thank you for that.
So, let's get into your story.
Okay. Where do I begin?
How you know what I love? Actually, I want to tell you this. I wish I would have met you 3 years ago when I first moved out here.
Were you involved in a car accident?
Yes, and let me tell you, this accident was like probably one of the ones you want. Like it was such easy, not cutthroat, but easy.
Easy. Big injuries.
I was on the 14 freeway, and about maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night, and it was doing construction, so it was down to one lane. They had about 7 or 8 of those big orange construction trucks out there with their lights on. CHP was even out there, and I don't know why he was standing outside his car. And you know how everybody, once they get up to the construction zone, they stop, go. So I think I was the third car, and I got up to the CHP where the CHP was parked. And this guy behind me, I don't even know where he came from. He was doing like 35, 40 miles an hour, slammed right into the back of me. I had cameras on my car, so that caught it.
Smart.
CHP was right there. He watched the whole thing. And he pushed me into the carpool lane. And, obviously CHP came over to see how I was doing. And then he walked to the back of my car, and he came back, and he looked at me. He was like, "You one lucky son of a bitch." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "You got to come see your car." I'm thinking the worst. I'm thinking my car is like totaled. I get out of my car. Can you believe there was nothing wrong with my car?
Stop.
But the frame
Wow.
You know how the bumpers have the shock absorbers in it. They have the two poles.
Yes.
So the CHP was like, "Man, he hit your car right exactly where he was supposed to." It messed his car up. His car front end was dented in. My car had a little scratch.
What kind of car was it?
Mine,
Yeah, that you were driving.
Honda Accord.
Oh, they are. They have a good absorption bar on the
Yeah.
front and back.
Yeah. So nothing. I mean, obviously I still took it to the shop and they took the bumper off and he did crack the seal and all that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, they do a tear down.
nothing was wrong. And I was like, wow. But the attorney that I used, and I don't want to say their name, but they have those yellow coat. Oh my God. They were so horrible. Like, it was such a bad experience for me. And I had the video camera. The police officer gave his statement. Like, I had all these witnesses. Like, they made it so bad for me.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
It was horrible, yeah.
You know, we do hear that in our industry, and not to compare myself to other firms, you know, but I think number one for us is customer service. Like you said, my team is amazing. I treat them like family, so it's not just a work environment, it's a family environment. So because we have that, we have this passion for people that our clients end up turning into our friends. They'll have my cell phone number, check on me, text me, hey, I'm moving. Life events that happen, they end up texting me to let me know what their life event is. So it's a good relationship that we have with our clients.
No, and I could tell, like, I've seen you at a lot of mixers before I even got to know you, and I noticed everybody respects you when you walk in. You know, you demand, you know, attention in the room. Like, you have that respect.
Yeah.
And it's so great. And I was like, wow, I wish I would have met her when I first met her.
Unfortunately. Well, in the future, if it ever happens, let's hope it doesn't, right?
Right. Those are the ones, those calls that you don't want to make, but it's like you want to call to say, hi, Darlene, but, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you get started? Like, what made you want to be an injury attorney or into that?
Injury attorney, I kind of fell into it. After undergrad, I just needed a job. I was couch surfing with my family. And I have a wild backstory, like growing up. Like, my dad is still in prison to this day. So I didn't have parents growing up. So I was just couch surfing with my family. And one of my aunts was like, all right, like, you could stay here, but you need a job. So she found me a job at Mercury Insurance, worked for the bad guys for a while. And I felt like I couldn't do it. Like, I think 3 years in, I'm like, I really feel like the bad guy. Like, people were injured. And I'm like, here, I'll send you $100 check, cash it. We're all good. Like, we wipe our hands of it now, done deal. So I ended up going onto the other side. And when I went to plaintiff side, I fell in love with them. Like, I'm actually helping people. This is fun. Worked for a firm for about 5-6 years. And he encouraged me. He's like, you should become a lawyer. And here I am today.
Now, I heard a little bit about your story, and I am so, like, in awe of you because I know that you went through some struggles to get to school.
Yeah.
And like there was times that you were taking like the train and
in law school I moved out here. I was in law school when I was working. I started law school and I'm like, oh, you know, this is really hard. We're reading about 50 pages a day, trying to work full time, you know, live this certain lifestyle that, you know, had my own place, and something had to give. And I'm like, okay, it's not going to be law school. So I left my job and I came out to Lancaster to move with my mom. And so when we were living out here, it was just, everything was, you know, I wasn't making money anymore. I stopped working. And so, yeah, I would catch the Metrolink 3 times a week, go down below and leave my car down below and go to school, come back on the Metrolink. And
all while you was pregnant?
All while I was pregnant, yeah. Uh-huh. So I just feel like if there's a will, there's a way, right? Like if your mindset's determined, it's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you have your own business, Trevino Law, and that's been established for how long?
2.5 years now.
And it's remodeled.
Well, I purchased a building in December.
Oh, congrats.
And we've been remodeling it from February till now. It's all done. We're waiting for internet service to be installed. It's an older building, so I guess there was never internet, which is weird, right? So that's how old the building is. And move-in should be within the next couple weeks.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we remodeled all of it. It's incredible. I'm excited for the grand opening.
So I want to go back to your backstory. So and you don't have to go into details about your family and all that, but just growing up the way you did, because I think we all have a story like that. Like, you know, I have a story very similar, and I had a choice. Been on my own since I was 14, and I had a choice to either get into gangs, sell drugs or whatever, or, you know, find a different path. And I was, at 14, I was just smart enough to realize, like, that wasn't the path for me. And I just, you know, chose a different path. So for you, what was it for you that made you want to chose a different path?
You know, you're another wonder story. And I love hearing those type of stories. I think, you know, it's by the grace of God that it allowed me not to choose this gang life. My family grew up in gangs, and my uncles were gang members. So that's all I knew. I thought it was normal to us, right?
Right.
Neighbors, teenage pregnancy, like that was just the lifestyle that we grew up in. But I actually started going down that route really early on, 13, 14, 15. And then I just started getting in trouble. And I realized that I was literally just creating this life that I didn't want to live, right? It was like, I hate this life. It's so ugly and it's so dirty, like in the sense of like, just like a poor mentality. Like I just didn't like that mentality. So I realized something, it was never one specific person or one specific event. I think it's a multitude of things. People always spoke into me. I've had aunts speak into me and say, hey, you're better than this. You have more going on. They saw something I think I didn't, but I listened, so that's a lot of why I have respect for people. I have compassion for them. So when I go to the networking event, I'm not looking for the most popular person in the room. I'm going to say hi to anybody, right? Whether I know you, whether you're this big leader or whether you're new to the chamber or whatever event we're going to. I have a compassion for people. I generally just have a heart for them. So, because I know that so many people had that same heart for me.
Right.
And that's what it was. They just, I would listen to this advice and eventually it clicked. And I was in 11th grade and I didn't go to my finals because I decided to do acid. I'm like, I don't know if I should even say that on here. And so I failed 11th grade because I didn't show up. I got straight Fs. I had to redo all of 11th grade. And that's when I'm like, I need to change. Like this is.
But
done.
see, these are the stories that people need to hear. Like, it's okay that you made mistakes, but look at you now, very successful. Have your own building now, your own law firm. That's incredible. People need to hear that. It's never too late.
Exactly.
And no matter what the mistake is, you can always correct it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge mistake. I had to redo
Right.
all of 11th grade. It wasn't just one semester. It was like, you flunked. That was it. And I think at that point, right, I had a decision, like either drop out of school, like forget this, or do I go back and do it right the second time around? And so I did. I finished high school, and I did the slow route. I went to junior college first, then I went to a 4-year university. That's when then I got the insurance job and whatnot. But it was a slow route. It wasn't, something that was overnight, something that was handed to me. So definitely, I was scared before to tell my story. I was a little embarrassed of it. But like you said, people need to hear this. People that are in that limbo or really beating themselves up because they made bad choices, they need to know that it's okay and you still can pick yourself up and you still can make those right choices.
100%. I mean, I was the same way because my sister was in gangs, and when I was at 14, even a little younger, like 12 and 13, I would hang around her, and it's crazy that I hung around with her and her older homies, and I always thought that was cool what they was doing, right? But the more I hung out with it, and then the more I saw like they was fighting, and it was just stupid stuff they was doing. I realized I was like, I don't want to do this every day, like because it was every day, and I was like, I don't want to do this, like just hanging out at the park, drinking, fighting, it was just stupid stuff, and that's when I decided, I don't like this, and I was actually blessed for someone that I had met to take me out of the hood. Like, and I think that's what, a lot of people, they get stuck in the hood and they don't know, they never, experienced anything out of it. So that's all they know, right? I was blessed for someone to take me out and took me to Hollywood, and it was like, showed me the light. I know it's kind of cliches, but they showed me the lights, and I was like, that's what I want.
Wow.
And I never looked back.
Wow. That's incredible.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those moments really, they stand out to you. So I may not be able to have interaction with someone on a daily basis to say like, hey, you have what it takes. But if my story, can impact someone, why not? Like, why hold it? And I always felt like it was something more of I didn't want to be a victim, right? I didn't want people to see me as a victim. So I know a couple of times I got burned by it when I was in junior college, and people would be like, oh, like, I'm sorry, you poor thing. And because I was just trying to come out of it, I'm like, oh, like, I am poor, I am this, and it took me like so much of a struggle to try to get to this route that I would like, but I'm in it, I'm trying, right? I'm in the same college you guys are, we're still doing the same thing, but I had a different, like, people looked at me a little different. Yeah.
And that's on top of like just being a woman and being a woman of color.
Yeah.
On top of that, then you have that narrative like, oh, like I'm from a lower income bracket or type
Exactly.
of lifestyle, and it's like but you came through it,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
and
it's so good that you have such a passion for others too, and you're so like you're always willing to help and push other like focus on kids and women and helping
absolutely,
others. So.
absolutely. Those are my two biggest passions: women and children. Women and children. One, because my mom, I just seen how much she struggled and the bad choices that she made, and she was in that for such a long time, right? And she was a single mom, and I think obviously that has an impact. I can't relate,
Kind
you know.
of
I'm
survivor mode.
yeah.
And we didn't, we don't know what we're doing. I was a single mom, and I made some pretty fucked up choices.
I'm sure. And, you know, I have a husband. And so even with us, we're like, oh, like it's heavy, but I still I have someone at the end of the night to say like, oh, that daughter of ours is acting up. You know, we get to like vent on each other over our children, but I can't even imagine like how hard it is. So women definitely. And then obviously just growing up and having that childhood is why I have a huge passion for children, like good or bad. Like if they're doing good, I'm like, yes, keep doing good. And if they're doing bad, I'm like, come on, you could change it. You know, it's
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for kids. I've been working with kids since I was actually 12, honestly, and disabled kids. And it's crazy how I've been working with disabled kids since I was 12. It's crazy how God puts you in situations, because he put me in that situation since I was 12, like I said. And when I was 25, I had my first son, and he was born with a disability.
wow.
So it's like he was preparing me for that. And to this day, I still work with disabled kids. And it's like that. I had such a passion for that just because of the way I grew up. And like as a child, I was like, man, I got to help people. Like, you know, I think I'm pretty successful. I've done pretty well for myself. And so now, you know, my purpose in life, I want to turn around and kind of pay it forward, you know, especially with kids, because like I said before, if they're not exposed to something, they'll never know. And I try to expose them to something and give them that experience that someone gave to me. So it's kind of like paying it forward, like I said, you know. And this is very important.
It's
Definitely.
hard because I know kids they don't ask for
Right.
you know the lifestyle or to be brought up like that.
Yeah.
They don't know. So it's so hard, and you want to educate parents as well as kids. And I think coming here to the AV, I see it more firsthand, the realness of how parents, single moms or single dads even, how much the struggle is.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
To be present for your kid and to work and support and provide a housing and clothing and food. It's so hard. You know?
Yeah, now I feel like sometimes I make it look easy, where I've had someone say, well, you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. I'm like, thank you for thinking that. Like, if I look like that, like,
Right.
I made it. Like,
And
you
it's
know, it
hard
was
because
almost a
I'm sure-
compliment,
Yeah.
though.
But I'm sure it's hard because you've worked your ass off to get to where you are. And the moment you take a moment to indulge or have a good time, there's a little bit of judgment from others.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. It's like,
Yeah,
I deserve
unfortunately.
this though. Like I worked so hard, and like
Absolutely.
as much as I support and I love everybody, like I do need self-care or self-love.
100%.
Go on vacation.
100%.
And it's so hard to like, to ignore that. Like
Yeah.
I deserve this.
You know,
Excuse me.
I think regardless in life, you're going to have people that are going to sit and judge you. Like, look at her. She doesn't dress like an attorney, or she doesn't talk like one. Like, well, what am I supposed to talk like?
Right.
You know, those people are irrelevant to me. I'm like,
Right.
if you know me, for the most part, I get, I guess you don't never hear that negative talk because they're not talking around you. So it doesn't matter. Like, goes over my head. I'm like, life is wonderful.
And it should, because we always say this: if you're doing something, if you're not doing something right, then people are not talking about you.
That's true.
When
That's
people
very
talk
true.
about you, then you're doing something right, because they're noticing. They, you know what I'm saying? They see all of it. So, yeah, you got to ignore it. You
Yeah,
can't.
exactly.
So what was the biggest adversity of yours, in the beginning?
Beginning of like which era in my life? Like, I feel like I've lived so
Just
many
to keep you
lives.
going, because I mean, obviously, we just talked about, our childhoods and how it was rough, but just to keep you going and keep you focused. Like how you saying you took the train, the metro, like that had to be rough.
Absolutely. I think, even most recently, stepping out on my own. I worked for a law firm and I had a paycheck. It was a good paycheck, and I was running the office. Everything was great. And I had this passion in me that said, you need to go out on your own. Do this for you. Do this for your children. Leave a legacy behind. So I gave my notice. But before that, panic started to hit, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go from having a paycheck to now making it on my own. Like there ain't nobody signing my check,
Right.
you know? So I had anxiety breakdowns. I mean, bad, like crying, like panicking. My husband was like, exactly, like, what if we don't make it? Like, you know, we're going to lose our house. And I was, you know, I was making more money than my husband. So I'm like, it was my finances that we were depending on. We had my pastors praying over me, my husband, like talking into me, like, darling, you know, you can do it. Like, you know, and it brings me back to like, you know, I'm a woman of faith, and it's like in Christ, all things are possible.
Right.
And, you know, I would read his word, and just because I would panic, like in the middle of the night, just crying. But we did it. I mean, here we are now, right? 2.5 years later, stepping into a new building that I purchased. We are marketing everywhere. We have billboards, radio stations. I mean, geofence. I don't know. There's just so many other like of the tech stuff that we have. And I'm loving it. I'm loving life. I have my 6th staff coming in now. So I went from me and one other staff to now, you know, a party of 6. So that's fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think anything in life, like if you step out in faith, you just, you know, I think there's a phrase that says, if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right?
Yes,
And that was
absolutely.
it. Like, man, because I was scared. Exactly.
And being out of your comfort zone. So even like you said, you saying, you know, at night you was crying, you was like, oh my God, like you was out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. That's a good point too, because being an attorney and being a business owner, those are two separate
Right.
things, right? I had to learn
really
like,
built.
yes, how to like do payroll, form even the business entity, and just taxes. And I'm like, oh.
And how do you deal with your employees and things like that? Because
Being a
that's
boss.
huge. And I don't think, I mean, you can ask my girls, but I have a hard time, like, I'm not micromanager. So I'm like,
Exactly.
You got your goal. Like, you got it. I'm good. I'm not looking over your shoulder.
Absolutely.
I trust you. And it's like, you have to build that trust in your people. And if your employees are happy, your business is going to
100%.
be amazing. But I think that I love that you brought up that you brought God into it, because I love that. I feel like I can do anything and the mountains can move. I just have to believe.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I love that you had that vision.
And I think for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it just a little bit harder to run a law firm because everything from your point of view has to be legally correct?
Absolutely.
Like me, I can say what the fuck I want, right? Like, no one, I mean, people can sue me, but they don't really care. But like for you as an attorney, like your T's has to be crossed, your I's got to be dotted.
Yep.
Like everything is like, oh my God, because you're an attorney. Everything's from the legal system.
Absolutely. And we're regulated by the state
Yeah.
bar. So it's like, am I doing this correctly? Like going back to the rules of ethical conduct, or I
Right.
don't know what it's called, but it's something where we are regulated. Like you have to have the proper account, and you know, you can't commingle funds, and it has to be laid down correctly. You even have to let the state bar know what's your account number for the client trust account. Like that has to be updated. So it's there's times I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, you know, there's days that I'm like, I'm on top of the world. Look at this settlement. Our client got half of the money, and it's big, and we're winning. And then there's days I'm like, what's going on?
I think, but as a business owner, I think we all go through that. Like there's those uphill things, and then there's the going down. You're just like, oh boy, here we go for the ride.
Yeah, hold on, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, you
It's
see.
scary. Like right now, and he knows I'm going through like this whole period of like transition and in business, and I'm feeling that like, can I do this? What if nobody comes? That's my biggest fear. What if nobody comes? What if I'm sitting in my office and no one comes to my door?
And then you realize I did it for myself.
Yeah.
And they're going to come, right? Because you have it.
Why
Like,
wouldn't they? You know,
exactly.
Like, why would nobody said like, don't go to Diana? You know, it's just hard. Like, it's just that fear. It's such.
Yeah, it is. It's our
so
mentality
good,
that just
though,
tries to.
when you go past it.
Exactly.
so good.
Exactly. Because I thought, you know, in this town, we have a couple of attorneys that are, you know, rooted here. And I'm like, how am I going to break through that? Here I am. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey guys. Yeah. And it was possible to break through it.
Well, you're doing amazing, because when I moved here, I thought you've been here for, I don't know, forever. I didn't know that it was.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah. 2.5 years.
Yeah. And you know what? I just realized that too. Like I thought you've been doing this, and I think it's the way you carry yourself and like just what you be doing. Like I thought you've been an attorney for years.
I mean, but like attorney, but like open your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been practicing for 5 years.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been in this industry because I started it at an insurance company. That's what we did is car accidents. So that's how I kind of stumbled on this, was just handling car accidents through the insurance side of it and realizing like, this is not fun. And then having an attorney actually. So insurance company is the defense. They're actually, you know, trying to protect the money and not pay out. And I was on that side for such a long time. I'm like, oh, I feel like a scumbag.
But you have all the
Yeah.
innards now.
Now,
So, like, you're like,
exactly.
I know
And
how
I
to
still have
operate.
friends and, you know, and through the insurance company, or I know these supervisors. I'm like, let me speak to your supervisor.
Right.
What does your tia, your aunt say? Because they kind of like guided you, or doing the job, or like they were like,
Well, two of my tias. One, you know, one day I was like crying, and I always cry, right? I'll read a book. Yesterday I was reading a book, and I'm crying, and they're like, oh gosh, here goes mom again. Like I'll watch, what did we watch? Inside Out, and I'm crying on Inside Out when the little girl runs away. I'm like, they're like, oh, here's mom, but I'm like crying and about my life, and it's, you know, I think it's when that 11th grade when I messed up, and she's like, you know, you're getting to a point now where you can actually make decisions for yourself. Before you were stuck, you know, people making the choices for you. So you decide what kind of lifestyle you want. Okay. Wow. That was, you know, enough said there. Yeah. But the Thea that got me the job, she's like, hey, I found this job. It's in the newspaper. You know, they were paying, I forgot what it was, but it was a pretty, you know, decent. I'm like, cool, let's go. I got the interview, job, everything. I'm like, all right, let's go. So I had no idea. It was just, they offered the benefits, you know, they had the reasonable hourly pay. And I was like, what do I do? I have no idea. So, but they took, like, they take you through a strong training in the insurance world, because you're dealing with claims and you're dealing with, you know, money and whatnot, not actually in your hand, but it's still, you know, that's their business. So they take you through a long process of training you before they even let you out onto the floor, actually handle life cases.
because you're having to talk to people and
Yeah.
disappoint them, basically. That's
Exactly.
probably so hard.
I would get screamed at all the time by people or by attorneys, like people to hang up on me, cuss at me. I'm like,
It's like telemarketing.
have a great day. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So now your aunts are like they so proud, or like,
Oh yeah, my entire family, absolutely. They're so. I think a lot of my family or friends that I had in middle school, because of they saw that life and they see me now, and they, you know, I still get messages like, wow, like I am so impressed with who you are.
I want to see pictures.
You.
'Cause
Oh,
I
it's
know
like
I
a little
have
chola.
pictures. Oh, I know. I have pictures. I showed my assistant, and you know, I'm with my eyebrows.
The thin eyebrows, I know.
And my hair, and I'm just like, you know the Smile Now Carliter background.
Oh,
back
yeah,
in the day?
yeah.
So me and my best friend were just, you know, posted up.
No
And
smile.
my assistant was like, that is not you. Like, that is not who I'm looking at right now. I'm like, I know.
So
It's
funny.
freaking crazy.
Did you have back in the day? Did you have another dream for yourself? Like, did you want to be something else?
Never.
No dreams at all.
Middle school, I wanted to be a lawyer. In
Really?
middle school, yeah. So middle school, I was always a good student. It was just high school I started messing up and, you know, didn't care. But in middle school, I was a good student, did my, you know, my work, got good grades, and I would always ask questions. And I remember, I don't know, it was like a history teacher, and I would ask him like, why did this happen, and why would they choose that? And I would just ask him so much, and he just look at me like, why do you want to know so much, right? Like, why are you so interested in this? And he's like, you should be a lawyer. I'm like, you know what? I should be a lawyer. And it stuck with me. And I would say, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. Even high school, when I started messing up and doing all this retarded stuff, I would still be like, I'm going to still be a lawyer one day. Watch me. My friends would be like, yeah,
That's
right.
great though. I mean, that's great that you know, since you had that since you was a kid. Was it a specific lawyer, or you just wanted to be a lawyer?
No, I just wanted to be a lawyer. You know, you see it on TV and
Right.
it looks so cool. Everyone thinks like being a lawyer. Yeah, I want to be a lawyer and be so cool. Like, I had no idea. I even went into college. I went in junior college. I'm like, I all I know is I want to be a lawyer. And then my family had went to school, and they're like, okay. I'm like, so how do I do that? Like, is there a secret? Like, how do you get to that point? And so my guidance counselor was like, well, most people that want to, you know, go to law school. I'm like, oh, you have to go to law school? Okay, you know, and so how do you get there? She's like, major in political science. So I majored in political science. I hated it, but I'm like, but this is what's going to get me from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Was it intimidating going through law school?
oh yes, absolutely. Again, it went back into the the psychological part of it, law school, people pulling up in Mercedes and Range Rovers, and I'm like a minivan, you know, like whatever it was, like yeah. So that was intimidating. Like people already had like success stories. I'm like, why are they wanting to go to law school? But obviously, you know, people they had bigger goals for themselves. But then on top of that too, just again, never knowing that route or having anyone pave it for me. So it's definitely sitting in that seat, I still would feel like, man, I'm just this poor girl from Pacoima. What am I doing here? Like it took me a long time to get my mindset out of that, like to stop relating to that identity. And even in law school, I still had that identity, and I don't know why. I'm like, I made it to law school, right? I was in there, but yeah, and I would listen and I didn't realize the true depth of how much I was so focused on in law school that some of the girls would be like, oh, we go home and we tell our husbands about you. Like, you're on top of it. Because I was pregnant. I went to law school 4 years, 2 of the 3 years. I was pregnant, both of my children, and I had them in law, you know, while I was in law school. And they're like, you're always on top of your stuff. And, you know, you're answering questions. I'm like, I didn't realize that I was like that into it. Like, I mean, I knew I was, but had such a intimidated mindset that I didn't ever see myself as something better than or as capable as I really was. Yeah.
Why did you say Pacoima? Because Pacoima. I was born in Sun Valley.
Okay.
I was raised in Pacoima and Silmar.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's how we like each other.
I'm just kidding, but no, but like I love hearing that because we have similar.
Yeah, that
like,
background.
Wedding planner, and everyone's like, you're wearing pink lipstick?
Yeah.
I love pink now. My hoop earrings.
So funny. Oh, I love hoop earrings. Yeah, that's more the Chicana in us, though. Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever? And this is a crazy question. Have you ever used a attorney card? Like, have you ever been somewhere and you're like, you know, I'm an attorney. You can't do that shit. Like,
I don't think.
Oh,
wait, what was it?
I object.
Oh yeah.
I have just,
You know what? I don't think I have. And in fact, when I don't really go into the courthouse much because we do a lot of online through Zoom. But even in the courthouse, like going in, you know, if you're an attorney, you could go to the front of the line. I would feel weird going to the front of the line. Like I don't know why. And they're like, you worked for that. Like you better get up there. I'm like, excuse me, come up here, right? Like. It's funny, like I love what I do, and I mean I have no problem like helping people and whatnot, but I'm just not that person that like likes to flex. Like, yeah, I'm an attorney, and you know what? And I'm just
so you keep it humble.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, if it's for a person like a client though, like, oh, then I'm like that mama bear. Like, excuse me, like we're not going there. Like, I'll file a lawsuit. Like, like, or you know, you need to recheck your facts because obviously you're missing something, or what do I need to help you with? Like, I get more on that like aggressive side when it's for my client's representation. For me, like per se though, I'm not necessarily like that. So yeah, maybe I will. I'll let you know when I use it. Do you know who I am?
I will sue you.
Yes.
So what's
This is
what's next for Trevino Law? Like what is the bigger picture, the bigger goal?
You know,
because I mean, earlier we were talking about you have to have the dream that scares you, right? So now, what's the dream now that scares you?
that is a good question. I was actually recently asked that too. I'm like, I'm not sure. I want to branch out, get a second office in Santa Clarita. We've been talking about that. I know a dentist out there, and she's, you know, her incredible dentist. Her husband's a neurosurgeon. She's like, this area is really good. Think about opening up a practice out here. So that's in the works. Doesn't scare me though. It's something that's exciting. Right. I'm not sure what the next like big move is gonna be yet. Just I think little baby steps for now. Now just kind of guiding my children into this path. Right. I have a whole lineage of little baby attorneys.
What's your children's age?
I have a 13-year-old, 7 and 8.
Okay. And so as far as like the 13-year-old. So what type of advice, is girl or boy?
Boy.
So what type of advice are you giving him as far as like, you know, what is he going to do when he grows up? Because it's about almost that age where he got to start thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been telling him I want him to be a lawyer, and I'm like, it's going to be easier for him because I've already paved that path. Like,
Right.
I'll be able to guide him through it. I'm like, okay, you step into the family firm now, and now you could take over it with my younger 7-year-old son. Like that, I want him to be an attorney as well.
So you want them all to be an attorney?
I want them to.
So you want to be a
yes.
family?
Absolutely. Try to convince my daughter. She's like, nope.
Now, would you be disappointed if they get to an age and they're not?
No, not at all. I think as parents, we have to speak identity into our children. So definitely that's where my input comes in. Just like my teacher said, hey, you should do this. And it stuck with me. So if you guys see my kids, just let them know. Because, sometimes they don't always listen to their parent. They'll listen to a stranger. So they're like, you look like you'd be a great attorney. So no, I mean, if they choose a different path, then they choose, as long as, they're happy in the path, like it's their passion.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was like really heavy in entertainment, with my daughter, I think she may have been like 4 or 5. You know how all kids, you like, oh, she's so cute. You put her in movies and TVs. And I happen to be a producer on a TV show. And I used to bring her to set. I used to take her to auditions, and she hated it. She hated being on set, like all the time, 100%. And I thought, okay, well, she's never going to come in my footsteps, right? So years later, fast forward years later, she was taking up track, and I thought, she wanted to follow in her mom's footsteps, being a track athlete, and she was doing really good with that. So then it was like maybe 3 years ago, I want to say, when she was in college, all of a sudden she started taking film, like she started studying film, and I was like, and she didn't even tell me, like I had to find out through her mom. And I was like, oh, so you want to do film? And she's like, yeah. So now she's in the film, like 100% all in.
Oh, exciting.
Like she graduated from College of the Canyons, and now she wants to go to Northridge to take their film classes. So
I went to
it's
COC. That's where I graduated.
Yeah, so it's crazy how like I let it go, but then it circled back and she did it on her own.
Yeah, good for her.
So now she calls me, like when she's on set, she's like, Dad. And she'd like FaceTime me and show me like this camera. She'd be like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Or, it's crazy.
So cute.
Yeah, but I don't pressure her. Like I never call her and be like, hey, what are you doing? Or you should do this, you should do that. Even when she invites me down to the set, I let her run it. I'm just there in case she needs like advice.
That's good.
So I let her.
Yeah, that's good. Even though my mom had her issues like with substance abuse, one thing she was a great mother, and she would have me think my process through.
Right.
So I'm like, Mom, I want a tattoo on my wrist. And she's like, well, what happens if you don't like that style when you're 18, when you're 20? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. She's like, so just think about what you want, something that you're going to like when you're still 20 or 30. And Mom, like, or I want a tattoo here. Like, well, what about when you're dressing up and your wedding, and what if you don't like that tattoo? So she would talk to me and have me think through the process of it. I'm like, okay. So I feel like I do that to my kids, like have them think through that process, right? Rather than just being like, no, or yes, or you're going to do this. Like, it's more like, hey, think about the cause and effect behind it. And then what's that?
Did you end up getting tattoos?
No, I didn't. Cause I never could figure out what was the right tattoo that I'm going to like to, and she would say, she would be like, well, when you're wearing that gown, and I'm like, well, she said that because I could see myself in a gown, like for when do I ever wear one, but I'm like, when I wear that gown, like that tattoo's gonna mess it up.
That's funny.
Yeah, so no, I never figured out that right tattoo.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and now I love them on people, but I would not get one. Yeah.
So let's talk about you're a big advocate for women, like we were talking about earlier. You're involved in a lot of organizations.
Yes.
The one of the things that I respect you and Diana and even like Jacqueline Hernandez, you three women to me are so much into women empowerment. Like I see you guys on social media, and it's such a great thing to see, because I know with women there is a lot of haterism. Like it is so hard.
Yeah, I feel like at the same time too, that was so like last year, I don't know. I think this women movement it's like a up and coming thing that it's more now than the women that are hating on each other.
But no, and that's what I'm saying. Like you three remind me, like you guys push it so hard, and I feel like you guys are like break down barriers. Like you guys really are. And
Thank you.
so I mean, talk about some of the things that you guys do, because I know you're a part, and I'm gonna mess up the name, so I don't want to say it. The what is the thing?
Sir Optimist, Businesswomen of God. What else are we a part of?
No, not Rup. It's LWC or oh my God, I forgot. opportunity.
What does it do?
Is it the real estate? No, that's not the real estate one.
Maybe
The Women's Council
the
thing.
Women's Council.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the Women's Council of Realtors.
Okay, yeah, okay, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even a realtor. I'm like, women? Where? Like,
Right, and that's great.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to having compassion for people. But yeah, I want to see women grow. I mean, it's something that's exciting, and it's not spoken enough about, right? Especially in I think even more so in my field, because it's a man-dominated field. So I had to learn that, it was a lonely place going through law school, because it was all, when I did work for law firms, it was all men, all male attorneys, and the women were only the help, right? Secretaries and whatnot. So now I'm like, hey, like, do you want me to show you how to become an attorney? I'll help you. Like, I'll show you, I'll guide you, I'll tell you the ways to do it. I see people, and I see women that are, growing and becoming successful and well-known. I'm like, yes, like that's what it is. No longer of just like being, like being the hooch, like, that those cha-chas and all of that. Like, it's
the high school drama.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
we're at an age now where you don't need, it's unnecessary. And if that's what you want to do, then you're going to be left behind.
Exactly.
The movement is pushing
that
positive
part.
And you can win, I can win, we can all win. And if you're winning, that's okay. It's not my time, but I'm still going to cheerlead for
100%.
you because it's your time. And I'm just so happy to see you do it. I think it's such a pure emotion, I think, that we are all vibrating through.
Absolutely.
And I love it.
And it's a poor mentality for people to think, like, I don't want that person to win, because if you don't want them to win, it's because you think that there's not enough for you to win, right? Like, oh, they're taking all of that, whatever, that finances, those clients. There's enough. Like, there's enough people that are going to have parties that, for party planners. There's enough clients that are getting in car accidents. I don't mind seeing someone else do what I'm doing. It's okay. There is enough for all of us to go around.
I think it's human nature, right?
Absolutely.
For us to get a little intimidated by things. I mean, that's just, we talked about this before. It's natural as a human being to be like, but then you have to work and process through it. And I, like other event planners, when I meet them, I'm like, this is great, because if I'm not booked, or if I'm booked or I'm not available, like I can be like, oh, so and so can probably do it. And having that networking and doing venue tours and having lunches, we need someone that's in the similar field to relate to.
Absolutely.
I can go and talk to you about, I'm having a problem with this client. You're just like, oh, that sucks, but you don't really.
I don't really understand it. Exactly.
With you, I'm gonna be like, damn, I don't know anything about injury law, but I'm so sorry.
Right.
But to have someone that you can be, terminology, and you're like, God, I'm just like.
That's jiving with
but
you.
They're like right there with
exactly.
You. That's important. And I think as being a woman and entrepreneuring, that's already a struggle, because
absolutely.
So
yeah,
we need
definitely.
to empower each other. We really do.
Definitely. There's an organization I'm a part of, and it's all women attorneys throughout the United States. And one of the things that they started is the badge, and where we're committing to any referrals are being referred to other women attorneys. So I really like that. And we have this badge that we'll put on our website to show, it's the pledge, actually, that we've made the pledge to refer to other women attorneys, as long as they're women attorneys, send them their cases to build one another up. So I think that's powerful.
That's good. Yeah. Will you ever be doing like any like workshops for like younger women to kind of like just inspire them and encourage them, let them know, and telling your story?
Not that I've thought of. I mean, I like people invite me to speak, so I'll do that. But never have I decided, to do my own workshop. Maybe that's a nice seed to plant, and I'll think about that. Right. Again, maybe it'll be like who's gonna show up, that part.
Everybody will be there.
I've even reached out to the school district if I can talk to the youth and say, hey, I'm Darlene Trevino, because people know me now in this, this area, and that the names, out there, and it's
I see all your billboards.
Yeah, they're on the billboards and the buildings and the vans and all of that. So I've asked them. I haven't heard from them, but I'm gonna keep knocking. Like, I'm here.
So you do love doing speaking engagements?
I do. I've had to get myself out of the comfort zone, because I know the first one I did was for Sir Optimist, and that's when I had to present my story, and I was so scared, and I feel like it flopped, because I was nervous. Like, all of these people are gonna judge me and look at me and think, oh, this little thing over here, And later, you know, I had people like, man, that's an incredible story. I'm like, oh God, you know, it was uplifting to hear that, even though I feel like it wasn't as a powerful story as I probably could have presented it to be. Yeah.
Well, Barbara's amazing. You know, she's the president now of Seroptimus, and
Thief and Barrels.
Thief and Barrel, right?
Yeah.
hearing the stories and those women, like, I'm sure maybe you don't know or maybe you do, but you've probably touched or sparked something because those ladies, those women, like, I feel like that's so important for them to hear because they're literally in that position that you were, you know, 11th grade or something similar, or, you know, maybe a new single mom, and they just don't, they feel like their life is drowning them now. Like, there's no way out. And you're like, no, I did it. You can too. That
Exactly. Yeah. You know, there's this, I'm like, should I say this story or not? But I got in trouble and I actually got arrested, and I was, you know, we're in the holding cells or whatever. And the captain comes up to me because I'm just like annoyed and I'm just being a jerk and giving everyone attitude. And I'm a teenager, and the captain comes in because like, they were just like frustrated with me. And he looks at me and he grabs me. He's like, sit down. I'm like, okay. So he grabs a seat, sits down, and he's like, there's something about you that you don't realize. Like, you have something that it's not this. And even like, you know, people like that speaking, I'm like, this is a captain. Like, why? Right? Yeah. You are right. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Hey, you should go look him up and like have lunch with him.
Right?
Like, that'd be that's a great story. Like,
I don't even remember what year it was, man. I'd have to like, I remember talking to a 16-year-old.
Right. That's funny.
really cool.
Yeah.
Like a scared straight moment.
It literally was, right? Yeah. And then you speak into them. Yeah.
But I mean, even you know, talking to people, like how you say you was nervous, but you just never know who you're gonna reach. Like Diana just said, you know, you can just spark something to somebody. You know, like even for me when I talk and I do my videos and even this podcast, like at first I was nervous, but then you just never know who you're gonna reach. Like, and every day when I'm out, like I honestly get it. Just the other day I was out with Andres and we was at Don Sal's having dinner, and some girl walked by us and she looked at me and she said, "One day you're going to interview me." And I was like, and Andres was shocked, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Wow.
I didn't know who this girl is or what, like, you know, but she was like, "One day you're going to interview me." I was like, and I looked at him, I was like, wow, people actually listen to my show. Like,
That's incredible.
Right?
So you didn't stop her to get her name or anything?
No, I mean, I know who she is now.
Okay,
Yeah. So, I
okay.
mean, because Andres knew her. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I know who she is now.
Maybe something was she heard and sparked her to be better or do something different, and now she's like, I'll be back when I'm ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just never know. Like,
That's incredible.
And like you said, these are timeless. The podcasts
Right.
are timeless. So
Absolutely.
like Spotify and Apple and all that stuff, like you don't know who's watching when they're watching. Maybe 5 years from now and they hear something that changes their entire life.
Yeah.
But I mean,
They find you and they're like, you changed my life.
And
But
you've had no idea.
I get it all the time. I mean, I always tell you the stories every time because I'm out more than Diana, you know, so I get it all the time. People always come to me and like, wow, I love what you and Diana are doing. Like, I get it so much. And it's not just me. Like, she's a big part of this. If it wasn't for Diana, this show wouldn't be what it is.
You guys are a great combo.
So,
And I'm trying to get over the fact that you said you're out more than Diana, because this girl is like everywhere. I'm like, where is she at now?
nah, I am. I mean, she says I give her anxiety shit because she be like, Mike's here. Like, I'm everywhere.
Wow.
I mean, I just like to show my face. I love to support everybody. And like I was saying earlier, I was in Ruby's shop. Like, if I'm on the boulevard, I literally walk from one end to the other and I make my rounds. I try to, like, even like yesterday, I walked by Fusion, Raina, and I just opened the door. I was like, hey, because I was in a rush to go somewhere, but I got to at least say hi, like, you know, if I'm walking by. So I try to do that. So I make my rounds at night to all these different establishments and just, you know, support. And
Definitely. And I'm sure it means a lot to them.
yeah. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love doing it.
Good stuff.
So you are the newest director, just like we are, of the Antelope Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
It's about time.
Let's talk about that. But you have a different title. I mean, I know you're a director, but
I'm a parliamentarian as well. So I keep order. I make sure that the checks and balances are there, making sure that we abide by the
bylaws.
The bylaws,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, exactly. So the gavel.
Gavel.
Yeah, so Mark wants me to just make sure, like, keep the meetings in order, make sure that they're timely. Like if someone's kind of going on, then it's my job to speak up and kind of cut that short and move on.
Negative, just keep positive.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So how long you been a part of the chamber? Because I know on your website you say you was an ambassador.
Yes. And now I'm a director. I've been a part of the chamber for 4 years now.
Okay.
When I was at the prior firm, I was a part of the chamber with that firm. When I jumped over, started my own, I immediately, like, it was without skipping a beat. Like, hey, that's probably one of the people I called. Like, I need to, join the chamber under my business, because they do a lot for the community. I really like what they're doing, and so I've always, been actively there, like whether it's mixers or whatnot, or volunteering, any of that stuff.
Ready for a gala?
Yes, I am so excited. And you got my message right about sponsorship.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm so excited. This one has to be perfect.
It's going to be.
Well, yes, because you're the co-chair. This is your event, Diana. Like,
Really, last year I was just the coordinator and helping Andres. This year I'm actually on the committee. I'm like, okay, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
My name's attached to it.
Right. Exactly. No, it will be. It will
But
be.
I'm excited. I can't wait. Like the theme, the committee team we have, I couldn't have asked for a better team. So I'm beyond honored and just excited.
yeah, tickets are on sale right now at Ticket Leap.
They are.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have the banner at most of the lunches. I'm hoping we'll have it by the next lunch. And
Yeah, the banners went to print this morning.
Yeah.
Dr. George.
too bad it wasn't ready for tonight, but it's okay.
Yeah.
There'll be more. But yeah, you'll start seeing it more, and we're just
Okay.
asking all the members to please help us promote it, because
Yes.
it takes its team, right? There's no I in team, and really what comes out of the gala is what is able to fund the rest of the year. So scholarships, grants, helping small businesses stay afloat, because right now we're facing the barrel of recession and all this inflation and stuff, and a lot of businesses are struggling, especially the minorities in our community.
Yeah.
Their businesses, and we don't want them to lose that.
Yeah.
Because that's our backbone. And
Exactly.
so it's so crucial to be able to provide some type of financial assistance. if we can,
Absolutely.
and that's what the gala does. Sponsorships, all the tickets, that pretty much all goes back to the community, and that's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, our hashtag is Join the Change.
Join the change.
What is Join the Change? Because we had Mark on here, the president, then we had Andres, who's the vice president, and now we have you, director.
Hey.
So what is Join the Change to you?
Join the change.
And what would you like to see?
I would like to see smaller businesses a part of the chamber, to be recognized, because it's easy for the bigger companies, right? The bigger,
Right.
for even me, it's easier for me to be recognized, right? And I've heard this before. I've heard smaller businesses like, oh no, the chamber is too cliquey, or it's too this. I'm like, not me. Like, I don't know where you've been, but I know a lot of people that we go and we make our rounds to say hi to everyone, or if someone I don't know, again, it doesn't matter. But so be the change. That would
Be the
be.
change you want to see, or join the change.
I would say so. Join the change. It's a movement. It's a shift, right? It's a shift to include everyone, to have that humanitarian aspect of it. To say, hey, we're here for you as a business.
So like we just said, there is that misconception that smaller businesses, they, like you said, they cliquish, and the chambers. So how can we change that mindset? Like, what can we do as part of Join the Change? Like, we're the directors, and we have to lead by example. So what can we do to show smaller businesses that we are changing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think reaching
Thank you,
out
I try.
right, reaching out to smaller companies, right, reaching out to those mom and pop shops that are on maybe not Lancaster Boulevard, because they're all pretty known, but not to say that we should ignore them, because this is a great area too. But the smaller ones on Palmdale Boulevard, reaching out and saying, hey, I'm such and such from the chamber, like, come to a lunch. Like, we'd love to meet you. We'd love to get to know you, introduce you, or something, or how can we help your business? Is there something we can do to help? Obviously it would take a lot of man effort to stop by everyone, but I think that would be like the starting point, like grassroots.
I like that. I think if everybody, like, if all the directors, like, I know I do it. I know, Diana, you do it. You stop into all the shops. If we took that one extra 5 minutes to say, oh, I never been in this shop.
Absolutely.
Go introduce yourself
Yep.
for 5 minutes.
I do that for my business,
Right.
to the smaller shops, because guess what? Like no attorney's probably ever been in there. And I'm going into the little party store, mom and pop stop. And I'm like, hey, like I'm an attorney out here. Here's my business card. Can I leave some for you? And I'll introduce myself. Like I'm the actual attorney. They're like, oh, like, thank you. Like, all of a sudden I'm getting a referral.
Right.
I'm small, especially where I'm located on Palmdale and 10th East. There's a lot of small businesses there. And I've been in probably every single one of them. And then I've had my staff do a second round about 6 months later, like, hey, just stop in, say hi again, let them know that we're here. But why not do that with the chamber? Like, hey, be in charge of that little pocket. Go once a year, once every 6 months to remind them we're here. This is what we do for the community. We're here to help you grow.
You know what?
Educating. I want to see people like us or just getting something where there's like more social. A lot of those businesses don't have social media. And that's what we really push is like we're promoting on social media. And so
which you're doing an amazing job at.
Tag the chamber, because if you don't tag me or tag the chamber, we can't see it, so we can share it. And so that's the hard part. Like there's so much coming through, and there's only so much time. There's only so much manpower that we have towards social media. But I think educating the smaller businesses on how to use social media or what to do or even posting, because you want to make sure that you're representing your business in a good manner that
absolutely
it attracts people.
Absolutely.
So helping them, teaching them how to be a professional, business and posting and stuff like that. So I think there's that education that we need, classes and just kind of more hands-on help for that.
There should even be maybe like a directory of like if you want to learn about social media, right? Like just the basic fundamentals of it, and have someone in charge, like have a committee for that.
Right.
Or if you want to learn about business, like how to keep your business as a business versus personal. Because when COVID hit, a lot of the small businesses were entitled to the what's that? The grants, the PPP grant and whatnot. But they didn't know how to, or they were ineligible because they were keeping their personal accounts and their business accounts as one. So it never had that separate business account. And it was literally, if you had a separate business account, it was as easy as printing out your statements and sending them off. Like that was it. But they had them commingled, and
I told Cheryl from SMS, I told her I want her to really do something with the chamber and like provide some type of, maybe like just even if it's not a class. I know her time is
well, she's busy
too, but maybe just kind of here's some tips when you're starting a business so you don't make the mistakes that I know I made as a small business owner.
Same
back
here.
in the day,
yeah.
To help you, like if that happens again, and you can be eligible for these things, but also just to be ease of mind, because when you're running a business, you're scared to report, you're not sure what to report, what counts as write-offs, what doesn't, like just to have some like simple, this is what keeps it, and maybe go see her, help her. But I would love to have that on the website, even if it's just, hey, starting my business, what to do. This is what you need.
This is what you do. Yeah, she actually just spoke yesterday at the Kiwanis, and she was mentioning how some businesses don't need to be an LLC. Like if it's a nail tech that just started off, you don't need an LLC, right? You don't need to pay that $800 a year. Right. But if you're a business that you're going to start booming, you don't need that LLC. You need to go straight to S Corp. Like, like I wish I would have known that, because I went to LLC then S Corp, and I'm like jumping all these hurdles. And she's like, so she was telling like do and don't do, and those things those definitely are beneficial. I think it would be even like a nice little, like, just, how the AV Chamber passes out those papers that says upcoming events, maybe like phone number, like how to start social media, or, what business entity you should have, and have someone in charge of those committees and just pass them out. Like, hey, these are, this is information for you. If you're interested, call them.
Right.
And then just pass those out. At least you're putting a tool in their hand. Now they have to use it.
Right. That's a great idea. I'm definitely looking forward to 2023 with the new directors and join the change. I think with Mark and Andres' leadership, we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Absolutely, I'm excited.
I like the team.
Yeah, so do I. It's a good one.
March 3rd.
Mark what?
March 3rd.
Oh, I'm like, Mark what?
March 3rd.
The installation.
March 3rd. We have to promote this. March 3rd,
Yes.
Installation Gala.
And this year's installation was so much fun, and it was a good time. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like, especially with this one as a co-chair. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Already.
It's already.
We're all mad here.
Now we had our meeting last week, and yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That's awesome.
Huh?
It's Tuesday, right? Or Monday?
Oh shit, was it? It was. I've been so busy. Okay. It felt like a week ago, but yeah.
Yeah. So
It was a
funny.
good one. We're like,
Yeah.
there's just so much talent at that table. I can't. Like I said, I'm privileged to be there.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Ruby and Lux.
No, Nostalgic Glory, right? Isn't
Yes,
Lisa part of
thank you.
it?
Luke's
Ruby,
Luke's.
Nikki.
Wow.
Totally
yeah.
butchered the name. I'm sorry.
I'm like, who? What?
Right.
Yeah.
But she can sponsor it.
She can be a sponsor.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next?
Um,
Anything big coming up for you?
Waiting to move into the new
Building?
building. Yeah, I'm antsy. I'm antsy about it now. At first, I'm like, all right, there was a lot of things that had to be done. I mean, roof was something. Whoever had the building prior took out a weight-bearing wall, threw an AC unit on top of that. So we had to
wow.
put a beam and jack it up, and so there was some things that had to be done. But now looking at it and it's beautiful, I'm ready to move in.
Do you have a estimated date, moving date?
It should be. We should be in by November 1st.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's soon.
it's the time is ticking.
Doing your interior design.
A friend of mine. Yeah.
Are you doing a ribbon cutting, new grand reopening?
Yes. I'm just waiting to move in, and then I'll get that in place. And I'll have you help me and bring you on board to put that together.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, but that's the next big thing. Will be moving. I already have clients that go there because they see the big sign, Trevino Law, and so they're like, they're calling like, no one's here. I'm like, we're still across the street because we literally are across the street.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're literally across the street. Like, we're still across the street. We haven't moved in yet.
So before we go, because we ever run out of time, what type of advice would you give the younger women out here? Because again, I know you're big on women empowerment. What advice would you give them, like for any woman that's, going through any type of adversity, but not to give up,
Not to be all like, holy roly, but I would say, and I say that, kind of jokingly, but I would say, find the Lord, because it spiritually grounds you to this place that regardless of what happens, you're not swayed too heavy, right? Like even when I was losing and I had anxiety, like I still had this anchor, and that anchor was the Lord. And I would read the Bible, and I would read Psalms, and it just speaks about adversity. It speaks about these trials and these enemies that are coming against you. Yes, right. The book of Psalms it's wild. It's mind blowing, because you're like, woo, and then he's like, Lord, strike him down, like he's gangster, and so that really it helped ground me, because even getting through, like I said, like getting through all of law school, like I made it. I took those steps, and even though I made a lot of lefts, right, I finally made the right, and I'd make a couple lefts, and I finally made the right. But I had that identity that didn't really let me grow too much. And it was like this identity that I was stuck in. And it wasn't until that I actually created this relationship with the Lord that I started to see myself in a different way. I started to see who I was, what I was created for. And once I saw that, then I was like, all right, let's go. But I think if I didn't have that, I would have still been stuck in this like poor me or this, well, my mom was a drug addict in and out of rehab, and as amazing as she was, like I had this like lower self-identity. And once I was rooted and grounded, it allowed me to just stand firm. So regardless of the people that are like, not that don't like me, or that, oh, she's on vacation too much, or, I have a friend that has a private jet, and I go on a jet with her now, and people are like, oh, like you're on a private jet? I'm like, you bet I am.
yeah. I earned it.
Yeah, exactly. So those, that doesn't bother me.
I couldn't go.
Oh, I know.
Still
There'll be a
upset at
future.
myself.
Jelly. Hey, you jelly? You jelly?
I'm jelly at myself because I was busy, and I was like,
Yeah. So I would say, find that relationship. And then once you have that relationship, everything takes off, because you're more emotionally stable, right? And now you are more, you're more confident in who you are and the authority that you have. And, the Bible just talks about like having authority, like tell this wind to stop and it'll stop. Like, so I'm like, shout, like get out my way. 'Cause I know like I can do things. So I do need to come up with something like the next step, like something big to do, like this next raw moment.
Right. No, and I want to add to that, because even like what you were saying earlier, and like it doesn't happen overnight. And I just did a video yesterday about patience. Patience is such a key element,
Such a virtue.
and you have to learn patience, because at some point it will happen.
Absolutely.
But you have to learn patience.
Absolutely. I'm big into finances, and I've read so many finance books and Dave Ramsey. And so we have, the nest egg, we have the retirement, the 6 months of emergency fund. But it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
Our cars are paid off. We're pretty much debt free. And that's another thing I like to talk about, like teaching people how to get out of that,
Right.
out of that hole, out of loans and whatnot. And it didn't, I've been working on this since I passed the bar. That was my goal. I'm going to pass the bar and I'm going to be financially free. 5 years later, I could say I'm really close to being, it's pretty much our house that's all we have as a
Right.
loan.
That's the only thing that is my debt. Like, it's just my house. Everything else is paid off.
Good job. I admire that so much. I admire that in people, because, you could drive around and flashy and do this and that and this. But man, if you're like in a world of debt, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. But it was that consistency. It was that patience and consistency. Another thing, right?
Yeah.
Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. Whether you're making those wrong turns, get right.
Now, I tell you about consistency. A lot of people fail because they jump into any type of business and it's not going the way they want to, like the first couple of months. And it's like, it might not happen for 5 years.
Exactly.
Look at what Amanda from Sassy was on a show where she said 9 years for her. Like,
Wow.
10-year anniversary, like last
yeah, so your time will come, but you got
Exactly.
patience and just consistency. Just continue to pound at it, and it's going to
Absolutely.
come.
Absolutely. I think I found the favor of the Lord that I, took off so quick. I literally jumped in this, and but I did, have to pay that price of anxiety and whatnot behind it. But I worked at it too. I wasn't, I haven't been a lawyer for 2 years. I've been a lawyer for 5 years. So the 3 years I was still plowing the land, so to speak, before I started reaping the fruit. Because, my year one, I'm like, I'm here. Like, I'm an attorney. And no one was like, who are you? And I didn't get that,
But even in reality, if you think about it, yeah, you've been very successful the last 2 years with your own practice, right? But since you was a kid, like you were saying, you was like, I want to be an attorney. That's when your journey started.
Exactly. Ooh, good point.
So, you know what I mean? Like, you have been
good.
manifesting it, going through your journey, walking your path and going through all these obstacles and adversities.
Yeah.
And, so it technically did start years ago. And that's what people don't realize. Like, people see your success the last 2 years, like, wow, like they see the billboards, the cars, like you said, the new building now. But it's like, no, your journey started years ago.
So
all that
good.
pain is what makes it such a beautiful and like grateful. You're grateful.
Oh,
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
you went through.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because the journey, it was definitely a journey. Yeah.
Hills and valleys.
Yeah.
But thank you, Lord. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's why I
exactly.
say, like, thank you for the lessons, because I wouldn't be who I am today.
It shapes you. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Darlene Trevor.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank
we
you.
truly appreciate you. Congratulations again on all your success, your
I
new
appreciate
building.
it.
Can't wait to see it.
And you guys will be there at the grand opening.
Absolutely, 100%.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Diana. Any last words? You got a busy week? What?
Say how to find her on.
Oh, yeah. Well, speak up.
I was like, how do they
I'm like,
find
how do-
you?
how do we-
No, absolutely. I'm so sorry.
How
Yeah.
about look up in the sky, you'll see my billboard. And
I know. No, hey.
14.
I know. I'm humble.
Hey, you
but
know what? I was
wait.
driving through Lake, what's that?
Like LA?
Lake LA. Don't ask me why I was way out there on 185th Street East or some shit. And I was like, oh, there go Darlene. In the middle of the desert.
Because people
They're
drive out
everywhere.
there. Yeah. No, we have billboards all over the place in the
Yeah,
Valley.
it was great. But yeah, how can they find you? How can they
They
reach
can
out to you?
find me Instagram. I'm at trevino.law. Phone number, I don't know if they want to take a pen down, but 661-526-5012. And my office is located in Palmdale, on Palmdale Boulevard, in between 9th and 10th East.
And what's your IG?
Instagram, trevino.law.
Oh, did you
yeah.
say it?
Yeah, that was the first thing I said. Trevino.law. I'm on Facebook
bad.
too.
Coffee, y'all. It's the
Yeah, I
That's
know
the coffee.
exactly. Yeah,
is-
so I have Facebook, Instagram. I'm not so active on TikTok. Yeah, I need to kind of jump on that. I should at least. Yeah.
Well, just do what I do. 'Cause I was telling somebody that the other day too. Because I'm on TikTok. I just make one video and I just put it on all platforms. It literally takes 2 seconds to upload it.
I will do that.
Like I don't make different videos for all of them. It's like,
Yeah,
they all get
well,
the same
I
thing.
See, I have somebody. Maybe I'll ask her to do it then. I have someone that runs my Instagram account, so I'll just be like, can you start posting on?
Just post it on TikTok.
Yeah. Yep, but that's how you find me. I'm on Palmdale Boulevard, and grand opening should be coming soon.
All right, y'all. But thanks again. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
truly.
absolutely. Thank
All
you.
right, we out here, y'all.
Bye.